When you hear the title, The Jazz Age, you may be expecting music. Well, that makes sense. But as demonstrated in an exhibit at the Cleveland Museum of Art called The Jazz Age, American Style in the 1920s, this decade was so much more than just that. Stephen Harrison is the curator of decorative art and design at the museum, and he's here to share how all of this era affected all areas of a lavish lifestyle, right?
That's right.
Wow.
It was a really dynamic period in American history.
And America at this point, you know, just after World War I, really kind of led the way in all these innovations, right?
Absolutely. You know, after the devastation of the First World War, people were looking for, a new lifestyle, and many changes were afoot, from voting rights for women to prohibition, as a matter of fact. But what it led to was a wonderful era of American self-indulgence and consumption, and that prompted designers to create vibrant new colors and use lavish materials, and we have all of that on view in the exhibition.
All right, so can you give us some examples of some of these different areas?
Yes, well, one area that we are featuring is the work by the Rose Iron Works, which is a Cleveland concern, begun at the turn of the century, but by the 1920s they were really the premier metalworking foundry here in Cleveland. And as a matter of fact, still working today.
All right.
The screen we have in the show is really their masterpiece, and it shows the influence of Viennese design, as well as a reference to that great chanteuse of the Paris stage, Josephine Baker. That's the figure in the middle.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. It's just beautiful. And now this is a painting that kind of involves a lot of different countries, right?
Well, the show's very diverse in all of the types of work that we show. From painting and sculpture to jewelry and automobiles. Here you're seeing really the masterpiece of Archibald Motley, Chicago American painter's wonderful work, and he was painting in Paris at the time. And in this beautiful canvas called Blues, he's depicting a club in the Paris nightclub scene.
Wow. And you also mentioned automobiles when you were talking about some of the areas. So this is another one of those extravagant autos, huh?
Yes, this is the typical horseless carriage. It's a buggy with an engine on the front. It really looks back to the great styling of the 19th century. And it was made by Rolls-Royce, which actually made its automobiles for Americans here in America. This was commissioned by a lady in Rye, New York, who paid about $15,000 for it in 1926.
That was a lot of money.
A lot of money. But remember, it's the Gatsby era.
Well, yeah, you must have the best. And now we're talking about jewelry, home kind of things?
Yes, there's quite a bit of really lavish jewelry that was produced in the 1920s, catering, to the wealthiest individuals possible. But also, this is an era of costume jewelry, too. So if you couldn't afford all these diamonds, you could certainly get the same thing in crystals. But this one was made in New York in the mid-1920s and just shows this beautiful styling of the 1920s era.
Okay, did that have real diamonds?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, all right. Well, that would be one I'd want. There's so much to see in the exhibit The Jazz Age, American Style in the 1920s, but not a lot of time left to see it. The exhibit continues at the Cleveland Museum of Art through January 14th, so make plans to see it soon. My thanks to Stephen Harrison for adding a touch of jazz to our show today.
Thank you.
Find out more by calling the Cleveland Museum of Art at 216-421-7350 or click to www.clevelandart.org.